What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I here got another episode of People's Questions, episode 76. Now, I'd actually like to thank all of you out there for making this episode incredibly special, because I actually got questions from 9 of you, which I believe makes this the most active episode of the People's Questions to date. Mostly we get, maybe I get 3 or 4 guys sending out 5 questions, but the fact that I have 9 of you is very impressive, so I'd like to thank all of you out there again for making this episode incredibly special. And it is about 4 in the morning right now, so please excuse the lighting, and I kind of have like a little green thing. So, start rambling, it's time to get you guys' questions. First question comes from one of my newer subscribers. He goes by the name of Solid Snake 12201982, which I'm curious if that number is some type of code. But you basically want to know, do I think it's weird that Hideo Kojima makes a character lose a body part in almost all the Metal Gear Solid games? I don't think it's weird. I think what it is, in my opinion, is it's a sign that these characters are overcoming their disabilities. Now, I personally have never had the opportunity to actually meet someone who's lost a body part, but the fact that he's done this type of disability with all these great characters allows us to see that these characters have disadvantages that we don't have, but we've seen them overcome them. Like the fact that Big Boss lost an eye in Metal Gear Solid 3, yet he has the title of the greatest soldier who ever lived. Raiden lost both his arms in Metal Gear Solid 4, yet by the end of the game he was still fighting. I mean, he was fighting with a sword in his mouth. So I don't think it's weird, but I just think it allows us to see these characters overcome their disabilities, which is something that when someone like us might find it hard to motivate ourselves to go past our disabilities. The next 2 questions come from Chris from Guy 2009, and you wanted to know, what do I think of the huge cast for Machete Kills? I'll be honest, I've never actually seen the first Machete, and as far as the cast that I've seen so far, I don't really think this cast is really brought together because these are the best actors. I think it's simply for entertainment value. It's one of those grindhouse movies, so it kind of falls in line with something like The Expendables, as in, let's bring in this group of people because the viewers, the audience, are going to know who these people are. They know what they're all about. They know what they're going to bring, whether it's badassness or some sexiness or whatever they want to bring. Machete Kills is not going to be a great film for its acting. It's going to be just flat-out entertainment, a good time at the movies, so I think that this cast is very well put together. The next question is, if I had to buy a new tablet, what would it be? To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of tablets, but if I had to pick one, I would pick something from Apple. I've yet to really own anything that was made by Apple, so if you guys have any recommendations that you would suggest for an Apple tablet, I'd really like to know so I could make plans for it sometime next year. Maybe you can get it for a Christmas present in December, so Apple iPod or tablet. Next 2 questions come from Galen426, and you wanted to know, will I ever review TV shows? I'd actually be more than happy to review some TV shows. If there's any you would like me to review, just send a request in the comments or in any of my other videos, and as soon as I have time, I will be more than happy to review them. And the great thing about TV shows is I now have a subscription to Hulu on my PlayStation 3, so I've actually been watching a whole bunch of TV shows that I've been missing. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to. Your next question is, have I heard of the 39 Clues movie? No, I haven't, but perhaps if you can give me some more insight to what that movie is actually about in the comments down below, maybe, and if it sounds like an interesting movie, then I'll be more than happy to check it out, and if you'd like, maybe I'll even do a special requested review of it. The next question comes from Mr.RunicLord1871, and you wanted to know, for my opinion, should you get a Xbox or a PlayStation 4? As a PlayStation person myself, I would personally state that, okay, obviously when you get the PlayStation 4, because, I will be getting one, most of everyone I've been talking to is getting one, and even a lot of hardcore Xbox supporters have decided to move on to PlayStation 4. With the recent changes the Xbox has gone through, I can't say that I would not get an Xbox One myself eventually, because bottom line, the Xbox has never really offered me anything that I don't already have on the PlayStation format or anything that I would even want. And as far as I know, the community is a lot worse on Xbox. I mean, I've had a not so great. I mean, I've had my bad moments on the PSN, but overall, I've had multiple great experiences compared to the Xbox. So I would just recommend get the PlayStation 4 first, try it out, and maybe we can play some games together, and then maybe later down the road, if they do a price drop or they add some really good exclusives, then get an Xbox One. That's what I'm waiting for. And the next 3 questions, and Mark may try to send it only 2, so I'll let the 3rd one slide. And you wanted to know, will I do a review for the entire Fast and Furious franchise? Yes, I will. It's already been announced they are going to do a Fast 7, and that one will be being the last one. And as I'm sure some of you guys have noticed, if there's ever like a big movie coming out in the summer or a game series, I'll generally review maybe all the movies or installments leading up to this as like a series, just like I did with Batman month, and then I did Superman month, and then I might even do a couple game ones later this year. So to answer, yes, I will do that. I will have to simply time it, so when I get a release date for Fast 7, I can then time it to exactly what time each of those individual reviews will come out. The next question is, out of these 5 killers, who do I like? Chucky, Freddy, Jason, Michael, or Leatherface? Don't like Chucky, not a big fan of dolls. Jason's a pretty cool badass, and Freddy. Michael's a bit boring, and Leatherface is a bit generic. Now, I actually happened to see the movie Freddy vs. Jason, and although it was a bit corny, I had a hell of a fun time with it. So if I had to pick only 2, which really there are only 2 on this list I like, I'd pick Freddy and Jason as the king of horror movies. The next and your last question is, if I had 5 superpowers, if I could pick 5 superpowers, what would they be? Well, if I had to pick 5, I guess I would just pick all of the ones Superman has. So I guess, I don't know, fly, super strength, super durability, I don't know, laser vision. The only thing I would certainly add onto Superman's powers is the ability to read minds. If Superman had the ability to read minds, then I don't think Batman would even have a slight chance of being able to beat him, because that's how Batman's always beaten Superman, is he simply outsmarted him. The next questions, 2 questions, come from Slow Rider 1978, and your first question is, where's my favorite musical? You know, I'll be honest, I don't really like musicals, but if I had to pick one, we have a show here in Vegas. They have a musical for The Lion King. I've seen that a couple times when I was a kid, and as far as I remember, it was pretty fun. So I guess The Lion King, if that counts as a musical. And your next question is, what crossovers would I like to see? There's one crossover idea that I know will never ever happen in the world of gaming, but I would personally like to see a fighting game that brings the 3 big companies between Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft all into one fighting game. Nintendo has their fighting game, Super Smash Bros. PlayStation has our fighting game with PlayStation All-Star, and Xbox really just doesn't have enough characters to pull something like that off. So to make a mashup, just everybody in one game would be phenomenal. Might even end the console war, in my opinion. Next question comes from TequilaCommand91, and you want to know, what matters more, console specs or game experiences? I think it's game experiences for sure. I don't really think, I mean, game specs are good, but as long as, in my opinion, as long as it has great gameplay, great story, and just overall great teamwork and real heart put into the game, I think any game experience can be great. I can honestly say that my experience playing a game, say, Super Smash Brothers, or even, I don't know, Pokemon, has been a much more memorable experience than most of the games I've played in the last 5 years. So you don't really need to have the best graphics or the best gameplay, it just needs to be an overall great experiences, and if it's good enough, then it will certainly last through the years, and I can happily say that for a lot of games that I own in my collection. Next 3 questions, and again, Draven G. Try to send in only 2, man. I'll let the 3rd one slide. And you want to know, what are my thoughts on found footage style movies? I think they're good as long as you have a good enough concept. I hate doing horrors. I think the most recent one that I really enjoyed was Chronicle. I think doing it on that style with kind of the whole element of them having superpowers was a very interesting idea, and it certainly stood apart from movies like the Blair Witch Project, which I thought were kind of stupid, or the Paranormal Activity films, which just kind of repetitive to me. So as long as if they can come up with a concept outside of horror, then I'd be more than happy to check it out. Your next question is, Were there any movies that scared me as a kid? Now, I'm going to make this challenge right now. I am 22 years old, and I'm stating this right now. There is not a movie on this planet that could ever scare me. Horror just doesn't work for me. But as a kid, the one movie that scared the shit out of me every time I saw it was Event Horizon. I think that is one of the first true ghost shit movies ever made, and that really set the bar. And I don't even think we've had a ghost ship type movie that has come out in the past 10 years that's even reached that level of fear. So, Event Horizon. And the last question is, do I see any other horror icons going at it? No, I can't really see anyone. I mean, I can't see Jason wanting to go with Michael or Chucky, or... I mean, if they really want to do like a Freddy vs. Jason 2 with like the newer versions, I would be up for that. But in terms of horror icons going at it, I really can't think of who I'd want to put. Like, I mean, what do we really want to see Hellraiser go up against Michael Myers? I mean, I don't know. It's just too weird. I think Freddy and Jason are really the only two that have unique strengths but are compatible to go at it, at least. And the last two questions come from a newbie and a great subscriber, and I'd like to welcome you to the 3TR People's Questions channel, Mr.RunicLord. I hope I said that right. And your first question is, what do I think of predictable movies? Predictable movies aren't bad as long as I can... depending on what you're trying to tell. Like, if it's an action movie, then, you know, it's very predictable. But I know that going in, so I simply am going there just for the thrill aspect. But if you add something deeper, then you need to add some type of twist or something that makes it stand apart. Something that's going to last in my mind, saying, okay, these movies are all the same, but this twist or this little thing that it was in this particular movie makes it stand apart from the other ones. So if... I don't really have a problem with predictability because movies and games do it. These movies are constantly taking ideas from each other, but it's how you execute it that makes it unique. And the last question that you want me to answer is, what do I think of Christopher Nolan directing a James Bond film? Okay, now sure, some of you guys know, Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, and he has been even long before he did the Dark Knight trilogy with Memento. And him wanting to do a James Bond film, I think he would be a very good choice. He certainly is one of those directors that brings in a much more insightful type of thinking movie, which is what I always like movies where I can use my brain and think about it than just sit on a thing and just take whatever the movie throws at me. But I think he would certainly add a new level of depth to the James Bond character. I'm not sure how he would handle it with action. I'm not sure if it would really measure up to Sam Mendes, because Skyfall was a pretty damn good film. But I would be more than happy for him to do a James Bond film, and I certainly think he'd have some pretty serious competition with my two other favorite James Bond films going up against GoldenEye and Skyfall. And with that is all the questions you guys sent me this week. I'd like to thank all of you guys out there for sending me in your questions. If you have any more that you would like to send for episode 77, please type them in the comments down below or in any of my other videos. And if you like this video, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track for me in my future movie, video game reviews, episodes of People's Questions. And as one more reminder, remember, only send in 2 questions per person. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.